All right, our next guest calls China's zero COVID policy an unmitigated disaster. Economist Stephen Roach is a former chairman of Morgan Stanley Asia. He's now a Yale University senior fellow. And Stephen has a new book coming out tomorrow, so you can all get it tomorrow, Accidental Conflict, America, China, and the Clash of False Narratives. Stephen, always great to get your take. What's going on here in China? What is Xi's next move, or what do you think it should be at this point? I mean, he can either let this sort of play out or he can really crack down. What do you think happens?
He's not going to drop his zero COVID policy. He's going to tweak it on the edges, but autocrats can't afford ever to lose face. And for him to admit that this is an absurd, impractical, harsh policy is not in his DNA. But, you know, he'll reduce the quarantine restrictions a bit, and there'll be some easing off. But what he's got to get is a break from the highly transmissible Omicron, and you know, that's unlikely to happen for quite some time. I mean, everybody knows how transmissible these variants are. I finally got hit by it 2 weeks ago myself, and so, you know, it's absurd to think that he's going to reduce this policy at a time when the transmissibility is surging.
Do you think that it gets to the point, though, because we do know that Xi's top priority is national security, and that he's, you know, willing to sacrifice some degree of economic growth for that, the security of just not just, you know, his people, but security of the party. And in that goal, Stephen, do you think that he enforces military law? Do we see this escalate to the point of a Tiananmen Square, for instance?
No, we don't. I think, you know, every newspaper that I looked at today, I probably looked at 5 or 6 of them, and they all had the Tiananmen Square comparison, you know, in the lead paragraph. Tiananmen Square was triggered largely by a young generation whose political champion, the former leader and reformer Hu Yaobang, had died in April of 1989, and the movement became a movement that was focused on these political issues. Xi Jinping, as you know, has no political opposition. He took care of that in the recent Party Congress. So this isn't about politics. It's about a understandably frustrated and angry population who is suffering job loss and economic hardship out of from a ridiculous COVID policy.
So he doesn't admit that he's wrong. He tweaks around the edges. Things largely go as they are, and that's it, Stephen? I mean, that seems to be so limited. I mean, it does seem like these protesters are of a younger generation. They did not witness the miracle of economic growth that he shepherded, you know, in the 90s or so. They were not young enough to remember. And so I'm just wondering if it just ends here, because some are even calling for his, you know, stepping down, which would be, you know, an offense that would be jailable in China.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on the autocrat stepping down. I don't think he's going to call for a martial law. I think he does have at his disposal a far more repressive and surveillance technology than was evident back in 1989. So he certainly knows how to restrict the discourse and the concerns that are being expressed by the protesters. As I said, he will tweak some of the restrictions at the margin and hope that, as we've seen in this country, that the incidence of these variances ebb and they flow, and that he'll get a break as Omicron starts to recede. But you know, as I write in my book, you know, it could have been so much better for China if they had collaborated with us on healthcare practices and learn from our experience in developing these mRNA vaccines. If they had vaccinated their vulnerable elderly population, he wouldn't be dealing with this. But he doesn't want to collaborate and cooperate with us, and we don't want to collaborate and cooperate with him. And so that's why I'm worried about this conflict escalation that I write about in my book.
So does this change at all what's going on in China right now? Does this change at all the backdrop for companies doing business in China, in your view?
I think it makes any company more mindful of China concentration risks. And, you've been talking about Apple here. Apple's a classic case where it had bet 100% on the production and assembly platform in Guangdong province. And lo and behold, it's now just starting to make iPhones in India. So supply chain diversification, weaning yourselves just from relying on the world's largest and most efficient offshore production platform doesn't make as much sense today as it did before this conflict and COVID-related disruptions gripped the Chinese economy.
All right, Stephen, always good to see you. Thank you very much. We'll all be looking for your book out tomorrow. Stephen Roach. All right, so what do we do in terms of thinking about a Nike, a Starbucks? We've been talking about this for a long time, but it seems like there are more and more examples again and again and again of the risk that might not necessarily be priced in, Guy.
Yeah, I think it's a broader market story as well, but you're right to focus on those stocks. And I still think Apple's got the gigantic crosshairs on their collective back. And the chances, listen, maybe it's tail risk, maybe it's 10, 15%, but if this thing escalates, Apple's going to be in the crosshairs of China without question. And just to throw Apple in there one more time, I mean, don't discount now a very public feud seemingly going on with Elon Musk in terms of his role at Twitter now in terms of Apple as well. So there's so many headwinds they're facing, China not the least of which, and I don't think the broader market is fully encapsulating what could potentially happen there.